Peace and blessings. I am Chivata and I'm back with another tool for your toolkits. Welcome, welcome, family. Today, for Wisdom Wednesdays, we are going to be discussing warning them. What does that mean? Warning brings across the mind sirens, red exclamation points, stop signs, yellow signs, signs that communicate that there is some type of danger when approached. So, as you tune in, please let me know you're in the building, where you're coming from, and light up the chat with some hearts. You know, I love the love. What's up, Cedar Fruit? Welcome, welcome, love. Get your notebooks ready as well because there are going to be some things in here that you might want to remember as you are formulating your means of warning them. Okay? Peace, welcome, welcome. Peace, Fairy Gang, Aki, what's up, what's up? Peace, JW. So this video really should not take too long today because it's very, very straightforward. But of course, I love to tell a good story and I love to give you some analogies so that it's easier for you to digest and comprehend. You know, what good is giving you food that you can't eat? So, peace and welcome, Mystic TV. Peace and welcome, Jonah Watts. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to return us to is that having unshakable peace is totally attainable. And the way in which it's attainable is through knowledge of self. Okay? The reason why we want to lean towards boundaries, right? This is a conversation. The topic of boundaries comes up a lot. People say set boundaries. And mostly they say set boundaries, and that usually includes just discontinue access, discontinue engagement, right? But I don't think that we really, really fully understand what it entails. So not only must you set these boundaries, but you must also understand the mechanics of the boundaries in which you're going to set. Okay? And this information is going to help you better understand how you're setting your boundaries and why and how they're going to be enforced. So I'd like to compare boundaries to shopping for a gate. Okay? Not only shopping for a gate, but even spiritually, if you've gone to the levels of practice where you open gates, you understand that gates have qualities. Yes? And when we go to purchase a gate or we go to activate a gate, we go so willingly and we go with some knowledge of how that gate actually operates. So let's say, for example, you're putting up a new gate around your yard or your home. One, we want to know, why is the gate being put up? All sets of gates are there for some level of protection. And that protection always has to do with what's coming in and what's going out. So, one of the mechanics of a gate that we need to recognize and we need to acknowledge it is that a gate that we set goes both ways. Okay? Let's have that understanding. It goes both ways. That door might not swing both ways, but it opens and it closes. And when it's open, there's traffic that can come and go. And when it's closed, nothing comes in or goes out. Okay? Unless the quality of the gate is in such a way that some things can go through, but others can't. An example of this is like an electrical fence. This fence or this gate is present, but its quality is invisible to all of your eyes, your pet that likes to run around the yard, but it is felt not by you, it is felt by the organism, the animal in this regard, that is wearing something that has been programmed to recognize that boundary. Okay? And in this case, a shock. Sucks, but some type of stimulant that says, you're going too far. So the fence is there to protect your pet from, I guess, running out into the yard, into the street, right? But it's not there to protect your property because people can come and go without getting shocked, right? So you see, it's important to always identify who is the boundary for, who is the boundary going to affect. I'm going to slow that down a little bit because that's important for you to write down. Who is the boundary for and who is the boundary going to affect? Another example of shopping for a gate is, do I want this fence or this gate to provide me privacy? Okay. Does it provide privacy only, or does it provide privacy and mark the property that belongs to me? Okay. We have land surveyors that can go and measure out your land and place a gate to make everyone else on the outside of that recognize what your responsibilities are, okay, and where your right to be there, your right to enjoy your property, your right to protect your property, where it lies. And if it's created in such a way to also include privacy, then it'll be tall enough and close enough so that whatever's happening on the inside, no one else knows about. But when it's open, people can see, people can come, people can go. And then you're responsible for who has access to your property. So when we think about getting gates or setting up fences and all of that, we do a lot of research. What's the cost? Okay. What's the how long will it last? What's the guarantee on it performing its duties? How protective is it? Is it fire retardant? Is it waterproof? How often do you need to paint it? What's the what insurance will cover when it needs to be repaired? These are the types of things that we think about when it comes to our physical space. But these are mechanics. These are the mechanics of a boundary. Even the sight of a gate or a fence gives someone the warning that this property belongs to someone, that this property has been claimed. Okay? It's a physical boundary. Much like when your front door is closed, it is a warning that if you approach this door, someone on the other side may answer it, and you don't know how they're going to answer it, but there's always a risk in knocking on the door or ringing the doorbell when you approach this door uninvited. Okay? That is the mechanics. And the mechanics of the door, in this case, also gives the person on the other side the opportunity to answer it, open it, ignore it, and even all the different flavors of how they're going to answer it. Okay? So far, I hope that these analogies are helping you to develop more of an acknowledgement that you should understand the mechanics of the boundaries that you set and the warnings that come with it. So boundaries can be physical, they can be mental, emotional, financial, and spiritual. And their effectiveness is going to reside in laws of correspondence, laws of cause and effect. Okay? That's where we need to understand. Because of the nature of setting boundaries, when we are intentionally deciding that we need to create a boundary in a certain situation, which is on speaking to, we don't always walk around with like this guard up. Okay, so when you come into a this juncture in your life where you need to engage, create, build some kind of boundary, it's usually in the case where you feel like you have been violated, and now you recognize that you need to set some type of terms for yourself, right? Press 1 in the chat if that's been the case for you. Whenever you've recognized or you came across the lesson in life that a boundary needed to be set. Very well. Very well. All right, so that's normal. That's normal for us. So, like, why talk about boundaries in a Wisdom Wednesdays? Well, as I sat with this and it came across my desk, I realized that the video on cognitive dissonance is very much related to how we set boundaries and why some of us fail in holding up certain boundaries. And it came down to not understanding or taking time to truly know the mechanics of the boundaries that we were setting. And the other piece is that I don't think that we, I always say we, but I don't think that we all have taken the time to create a disclaimer or a proper warning label. All right. Like I said before, the whole theme of setting a boundary usually comes up once a violation has already occurred. All right. Um, and if the violation has already occurred and you were not prepared for it, you only have the opportunity after the fact to create your disclaimer or your warning. Now, it's easy in an emotional state to say, okay, don't do this ever again, or else, blah, blah, blah. But in an emotional state, when you're creating something, it does not necessarily stand very strong. And why is that? Because one, you have in an emotional state had to create a new belief system or a new law of engagement for yourself that otherwise you would not have created in this particular relationship to your environment. And so you are forcing yourself in an emotional way to change your ideas and beliefs. Now, what did I teach you all about cognitive dissonance? It is not that easy to switch up the belief systems just like that, especially when you're in an emotional state. Because once you move from that level of anger or feeling violated, and the energy emotion moves through, you no longer feel so tied to the boundary that came out of that emotional state. Because you did not sit with it to understand for yourself first what the mechanics of that boundary is going to be and why does it exist, how do you want it to work, and then communicating the disclaimer or the warning label. What does a warning label do for us? I wish I had a pack of cigarettes with me right now. Okay, let me see. We have warning labels on all kind of stuff, right? But for example, you pick up a bottle of wine or alcohol. Let me see. Y'all got all kind of stuff here. Okay, cool. Not that I'm a heavy drinker or anything, but my spirits drink. So here we go. Government warning. According to the Surgeon General, women should not drink alcoholic beverages during pregnancy because of the risk of birth defects. 2. Consumption of alcoholic beverages impairs your ability to drive a car or operate machinery and may cause health problems. Okay? So, a warning label allows whoever is going to approach the item, right? The understanding of what will happen in this engagement. So this doesn't say straight up, this is poison. So if you drink it, there's going to be a problem, right? It does say that it may cause health problems. It may. It may. You want to be clear. So what happens to the company here? If I partake in this while pregnant and some type of damage occurs to my child, this company is not going to be tied up in any lawsuits or fighting with me back and forth. What does a lawsuit entail when it comes to that, right? A lawsuit, when it comes to this label, not going to waste their time and energy fighting with me about me deciding to drink it while I was pregnant, is the same thing what happens with the mind. This company is not going to experience cognitive dissonance because it already knows what's in this bottle. It already knows what happens when you drink it. And it already communicates very clearly in black and white the possibilities of what will happen if you partake. Okay? So we have A. If A happens, drinking this while pregnant, B is sure to follow, okay? Some type of health issue is sure to follow, okay? And, sorry, although C, not everyone who partakes in the alcohol will have the same outcomes. However, once B is activated, meaning you already have partaked in this and this alcohol is in your system, C is above me. So how, whether it follows through and your baby is damaged, or, you have a baby, but it's lightweight baby. So, that C is like the variable where when it comes to us engaging with one another, I don't have control over that. C is the piece I don't have control over. But once I've already given you the warning label, I control B. You control A. Okay? You control A, meaning the person outside of you controls A. You control B. C can be karma. C can be the universe. Okay? And sometimes people do all kind of foolery, and nothing greater than losing access to you occurs. Their life can possibly go on and be fantastic. That's also a C variable. But if we're willing to communicate B, whatever happens after that, we don't have to fight with. We don't have to go to court within ourselves about. So I know that people, there are some people who believe in ghosting. And ghosting, by definition, to me, is that one abandons a relationship without communicating the warning label. Okay? So on the first offense, there's no communication. There's just abandoned ship. For some people, that is the only way that they can spare their peace. Okay? So be it. But in the case where you're really working on not being an abandoner or experiencing abandonment, create your warning label so that whoever it is that you're engaging or building this boundary with understands that if A, you commit to B, and after which you may not be in control of how good or bad things go for them after that, right? So when you disappear or you take away access, you don't have to fight with yourself because you've given the individual a fair warning label, that you've taken the time to understand the mechanics of that boundary, that once it's set forth, you can be free and at peace. Does that make sense? Because some of y'all make boundaries in your own mind and don't communicate them. And then you're just like, why does this keep happening? And why do I keep on thinking I'm setting a boundary, but it just keeps being violated? You know, part of it is you didn't understand the mechanics of your boundary, right? So what I'm going to do for you all is I am going to share this formula of if A happens, B is sure to follow, although C is a possibility. However, once B is activated, C is above me. You know, it's not enough to say, oh, don't play with me. My ancestors don't play about me. Because then that just, again, bypasses you as sovereign over your own life. And it creates even more chaos within your own being. And it's unfair for you to experience more chaos within your own self while in the midst of trying to protect yourself. Right? Let's be kinder to ourselves. And instead of coming with warning labels that are full of fluff, let there be some real energy and time taken to understand how that works. All right? Does anyone have any questions? All right, family. So again, I want to encourage you all to check out the Fae Tree Foundation at thefaytree.org and understand that, help me understand, and check out hocwellness.com because I changed up the sales on there and gave you a few new gifts for your participation and your dedication to yourselves. And I look forward to seeing your altars where you alter your lives posted up in the HOC. Okay. I see a question. I will answer. Let's see. What if the boundaries keep getting pushed at, even after laying them down and stated? This is if your boundary continues to be pushed at. Okay. That means that you are not standing by your warning label and you are creating chaos through cognitive dissonance within yourself. And I spoke about how living in a consistent space of cognitive dissonance will begin to diminish your self-worth and self-esteem. And self-worth and self-esteem are absolutely needed in order to enforce a warning label. Does that make sense? So the only reason why it would be continuously being pushed at is because the person on the other side does not recognize your sovereignty nor your ability to uphold your warning label. Remember, it's your warning label, okay? So you get to choose whether you uphold it or you don't. But if you choose to uphold it, then you're going to have to understand the mechanics of that warning label may also mean that not only are you denying access to yourself by that other person, but you too deny yourself access to that person. And so that's where looking at the mechanics of the boundaries that you're setting is important to recognize, because it's unfortunate when we have to no longer engage with people that, like I said, you wouldn't have expected to violate you. You loved them. You wanted to be in some type of communication with them. But now your warning label, when you really look at it and understand the mechanics of it, it says that if A, B will happen. And B doesn't only affect the other person, B also affects you when you are the person that has set up the boundary. So become okay with the reality of what happens when you uphold that boundary. And the first thing that's going to make you okay with that is when you feel confident in yourself. You feel that you're worth protecting and standing up for. Okay? I hope that is helpful. How to let someone know your boundaries by simply saying so. I think that at this point, at this juncture in your development, that it's important to, just like all the labels on things that can potentially be hazardous to us, to put your boundaries and your warnings in writing. Because one of the things that help to eliminate cognitive dissonance is putting things in a form of factual, tangible means. It's something you can go back to when emotions have calmed down. It's some and I advise you, right? Sure, always, allow your throat chakra, right? Allow your truth to be spoken. Absolutely. But after things have come down, take the time to communicate your boundaries then. That's why that space in between, taking time to write them down and what are the mechanics of this boundary, is not just an agreement between you and a person. The other person doesn't necessarily have to agree to it. Given the example that someone can continue to push at it regardless of being aware of it. Okay? It's their choice if they're going to abide by it or not. It's also your choice if you're going to abide by it. But since it's made for you, then you would want to make this a commitment to yourself. And we don't recognize how often we make commitments to ourselves and still don't live up to them, which is another source of cognitive dissonance, because we're disappointed internally when we don't stand up to what we said we want for ourselves. So the more we place certain things like this in writing, and we have time at our altars where we alter our reality, we are able to strengthen the parts of us that are fighting with aspects of our lives that kind of keep us going in like a hamster wheel, just circling, 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 circling. But first, we have to spend time facing the reality of it. Ask questions like, why? Why am I dealing with this? And when you're facing yourself at your altar, you can answer yourself without any guilt or shame or judgments about it, just the truth of the matter. And the truth, a lot of people want the truth to be black or white, but the truth is actually where we are in the middle and we understand both sides of things. Okay? This is where we meet in the middle. Cody, if you can't find the daffodils, they seem to be out of season. Boom, 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 boom. You can use carnations. I want you to go to daffodils first, but you can use carnations. Okay? All right, y'all. Any other questions before I go? Y'all don't be shy now. Okay? Make sure y'all show up. The formula will be posted in the community tab. All right, so I'm not going to repeat it now. I'm going to post it so you can go back, and both of these videos, this one and the one on Talk About It, right? The Secretly Confused video is going to help you understand more about cognitive dissonance, because that's something that's so secret. I mean, not secret, sneaky, that kind of creeps in and leaks out our power. All right, y'all. Make sure y'all take advantage of the sale going on at the HOC Wellness store, and check out thefaytree.org to make your donations to the organization that is looking to provide health and wellness, life skills, and holistic services for the creative arts and healing arts community. Okay? Don't be a stranger. Join the movement. Much love to you all. Peace, love, and bliss. I'm always, always, always honored to be here with you all.